All right. Thank you, everybody, for coming. I know we had a few more people and the weather's beautiful, so it's hard to get people sometimes in the summer, but we're glad you're here. And we're doing a very pertinent topic. It is summertime, and um, we do more fire stuff, I feel like, or potential fires. So, anyway, we'll be talking about fire safety and also doing some hands-on fire extinguisher training in the parking lot. We do have permission from the church and it's all good. So, and we have professionals here to deal with any stupid stuff we might do. So, Adam Miller is from the Bismarck Fire Department and he's here to talk to us about fire safety.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. Like Paige said, my name is Adam Miller. I'm with the Bismarck Fire Department. My title is Deputy Fire Marshal. Last year, I think it was here, I did fire safety evacuation. This year, the topic is fire extinguishers. So I do have a PowerPoint. We'll go through the PowerPoint fairly quickly, but I'll read off the screens, but I'll elaborate a little bit. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask me anytime. We'll go through that. Make it pretty informal. All right, so first off, fire extinguisher training. So why do we need fire? This is what we're going to go over. Why do we need fire extinguishers, types of fires, types of extinguishers, and how to properly use? Don't have the clicker. I don't know if there is one. Oh, that sounds good. All right. All right, so a little bit of statistics for you. Fire extinguishers each year, U.S. on average, 3,500 people die each year in fires. Another 18,300 are injured. This is from FEMA's website. Stats have shown 93% of deaths and 95% of property damage occur after the fire grows beyond its early stage, the incipient stage. Ideally, if you ever put out a fire, that's when you want to get it with an extinguisher. It's a lot simpler. After that, it grows pretty fast and you want to get out. A fire, like, here you go. A fire doubles in size every 30 seconds. In 3 minutes, a trash can size fire will grow to 64 trash can sizes. When a fire is used, or sorry, when an extinguisher is used on a fire, 75% of the time, the fire department is not notified. I think for the most part, people will put the fire out, think it's good, no damage, whatever. We still want to be called. There are times where there's extension that you might not be aware of, could be in the wall, in the ceiling, in the attic, and it could be burning without even being aware of it. So, and also if there's a fire, you had smoke in your house or even outside, we'll come there. We can ventilate it. We can also we have some fresh air scenting that kind of sucks up the smell of smoke because it's pretty nasty stuff. You might be aware of that. And if you have an insurance claim, they're going to probably want to see a fire investigation report. If it's simple, like we know exactly the cause, it'll be a quick one. We just might take some photos of it and write a quick report saying the grill was too close to the home and it burned some of the siding. The fire is now out. So it might be as simple as that. But again, your insurance company might want to see that report. So, yeah. Does that happen to you? Okay, it does happen. Almost 2 million fires are handled entirely by a fire extinguisher in the U.S. Annually or yearly. 43% of Americans own a fire extinguisher, so I mean 57% of Americans don't have extinguishers in their homes, so it's a pretty big number. And 59% have working smoke detection. So you'd think it would be 100% ideally. I think in your guys' area, it's required to have extinguishers and smoke detection working, right? So that's good. Even if it's not, it's a no-brainer. I mean, you want to have an extinguisher in your home. You definitely want to have smoke detection in your home. So, next slide. All right, United States. I'm sorry, we already mentioned that. Fires started by youths in occupancy. So I'm sure this can, you guys can relate to this one a little bit. One study shows 49,000 fires each year are labeled as fires started by, play, or intentionally set by youths. Youth is someone considered under the age of 18. So it can be anywhere from 1 year old to 18 years old. According to NIFR, 60% of all fires are started by youth. That's overall fires started, 60% of them. Fires caused on average of 80 deaths and 235 million in property damage a year. This demonstrates why it's important to consider fire protection, life safety, and egress requirements. I'm guessing you have evacuation drills that you guys go over as well with your families? Okay. If not, EDITH has a really good acronym, exit drills in the home. I think I mentioned this last year a little bit, just to remind you, exit drills in the home, you want to know 2 ways out of every room, stay low and go. When you're outside, find a meeting place. This is for the kids, and then call 911. It's also important that the kids learn their address if they don't know it, so they can relay that on to the dispatch. All right, so Last year, Bismarck Fire kind of teamed up with Aero Cleaners. They did a mock burn session. They have a little living room set up here. We have some furniture, like a normal living room setting. You have some end tables, some couches and chairs, just your normal stuff. And kind of eye-opening how this played out here. So it's really not very big. It's maybe 10 by 20, maybe a little smaller than most living rooms. If you notice some of the furniture here, it's all modern furniture. It's made by synthetics pretty much. It's mostly oil-based, petroleum-based product. That's pretty much every home nowadays. They have newer furniture. It's not the old legacy, which is cotton, oak, it's all newer stuff. So when you lit it on fire, if you go to the next slide, so this is kind of how it looks. So this is just the initial incipient stage we talked about earlier. You have some smoke coming, and this is why it's really important to have working smoke detection. So this is when you'd be notified. You come into it, you have a minute or so with an extinguisher. You might put it out as far, you put it out good enough so that when we get there, there's just some little bit of cleanup doing, and there's not going to be a big fire mess. But if you don't have a smoke detector, you don't have an extinguisher, within 2 minutes, this is how this is going to look. So that's the smoke in 2 minutes. This is 3 minutes in. That's the flame. So it doesn't take long at all for your fire to get going with this new furnitures we have in our home. Next slide. Okay, not just large fires cause damage. This is $90,000 in damage in 2 months of restoration. So this is a little video. I don't know if you can play it. You hover over it. I'm not seeing it. So, oh yeah, okay. No, it's fine. It's just a quick little video. Okay. So this is the other fire marshal that was here, took the video. He showed up on scene. If you play again one more time, you can see something here. So you see right here is a little, oh boy, can you see it? It's okay, it's a little chick, one of those little birds. This is a school, preschool. Most schools have these little chicken hatches setups in their classrooms. With this one, they had one of those lamps, heating lamps on the top. What happened is it fell into the cage and they had some kind of like hemp or wood chips in there. All it did is smolder and it smoked for an hour or so. Didn't really catch fire, just kind of smoldered. But that again caused $90,000 in damage, and it took 2 months to restore to get that smell out of that school. So it doesn't take much at all. All right, I just actually added this in here. So fire triangle or tetrahedron. So NFPA 921 is a guide for fire and explosion for investigation. So anytime we do an investigation, this is our reference guide. Defines fire as rapid oxidation process that results in a chemical reaction of a material causing the release of light and heat. That's the technical definition of fire. So basically what we're saying here is you got a fire. It used to be a triangle. Now it's a tetrahedron. They have basically 3 components, now 4, chemicals, chain reaction. So you take any one of those 4 away, that will extinguish the fire. You got your fuel, your O2, your heat, and your chemical chain reaction. So extinguishers are designed to take one of those things away, 2, 1 or more, to put the fire out. So for example, water, what does water do? It cools. And also, well, I guess mostly it'll just cool it. But we have some chemical, your class your ABC extinguishers. It's a dry chemical. That'll take away oxygen and also your heat. So kind of separates the heat from the fuel. Well, go next slide. People ask about those. So a fire blanket, if you think about it, you put it over a fire, it'll smother the fire, it'll take away oxygen, and also cool it at some point, but it'll take a while. People like fire blankets for lithium-ion battery fires. We don't, as the fire department, don't recommend them or discredit them by any means. We just don't use them. But I'm sure there's a place for them. For one, when you have a fire blanket, you have to get close enough to the fire to put it on. So that could be a hazard in itself. Like I said, with lithium-ion batteries, I think there is it's a good need for that. I've seen videos where they would cover a EV vehicle with a huge blanket. The smoke, the fire would pretty much go away. But with lithium-ion batteries, everything it needs to burn is within the battery. So you got your fuel, you got your oxygen, you got everything in that battery. So it'll continue to burn even if it's covered. But you still can get the chemical, the smoke away, the heat, but it's still burning. It takes a long time to put those fires out. And we'll talk a little more about lithium-ion batteries later on. So good question. All right, so the anatomy of a extinguisher. I got this little diagram, and I got one here. Pretty simple. I'm sure this is what you guys all have in your home, right? A 2A10BC is a pretty common extinguisher. So if you never really played around with one, you're probably not aware of some of these things. So you got your discharge lever, your discharge pin and seal, discharge hose, nozzle, and orifice, the body of the extinguisher, the data plate, really important, and then your carrying handle. So you're not going to discharge your extinguisher by carrying it like this. This is how it's meant to be carried. This is how you discharge it, is by pushing the top down. Has anybody ever used an extinguisher before? Nobody? Well, you guys will today if you haven't, so it'll be fun. Then of course you have your pin here in your above your handle, below your nozzle or your pressure gauge. So also this has a pressure gauge. Some extinguishers won't have that pressure gauge. That's something you want to check before you even use it. Again, we'll get into that a little bit later. So that's the main makeup of an extinguisher. We'll talk about the data plate here in a minute. All right, so here's the data plate. Fire extinguishers and classifications. How do they extinguish fire? So like I mentioned earlier, you're cooling below the ignition temperature, separating the O2 from the fuel and stopping the chain reaction. That's what you got to do. So here you have your A, B, C, D, and K. Those are your types of fires. A, if you think of A, you think of ash. Anything that produces ash is a Class A fire. So woods, papers, anything along those lines. B, guy mentions barrel, which could be like fuel, right? Any kind of like fuel, gasoline, oil, anything that, any liquid flammables is B. And C fire is anything electrical. Anything electrical is a C fire. It has a charge to it. So C for charge. Now, if you unplug the C, the appliance or whatever is charged, it turns into an A. So it's just an ordinary combustible. But if it is charged, you got to be careful what you use for extinguisher. D is your use on combustible metals, something that you shouldn't have to worry too much about, but there's bigger industries like manufacturing industry. They'll have like, I can tell you a place in town, I'm not going to mention the names, but they do have occasional fires in their duct works where the metal shavings and things are going because it gets hot, and it's pretty much any kind of metal fire. You work over there? Okay. Okay. I was going to say it's been a while since we had them. They've been getting a lot better. Right. Oh, that's so that stopped clear. Kind of like a shunt trip, so it disables the, right. That's right. Right, so it keeps burning. So and I was there. I had to pull some of those filters out of the vents. We had a system. Thankfully, they actually remedied a lot of those issues, and we haven't been there for a while, so it's good. Right. I think you have the dumpster that was for the fire department. Okay. But it's got a lot better, so it's good. But like I said, normally that we won't see these kind of fires in your normal household. You're not burning metal. So, and then you have K, which is the newest type of fire, which is basically kitchen, but it's a grease fire. Fire. So you're not your flammable liquids, but more of a grease, a cooking grease. So, all right. So fire extinguisher ratings, the number before the A measures water equivalency. So 1A is equivalent to 1.25 gallons of water. So most extinguishers, like this one, is a 2A 10BC. This is the smallest that we'll allow in any commercial building. So if you go around the church, you won't see anything smaller than this. And if you do see it, we'll ask them to remove it and get the minimum size, which is a 2A 10BC. The 1As are a lot smaller. You have maybe 7 to 10 seconds of discharge, and then it's it. Then you're done. With this one, you may have 20 seconds, which seems like a long time, but it really isn't very long. So if you have a 1A extinguisher in your home somewhere, I recommend you taking it out, putting it maybe a recreational vehicle, camper, a boat, or even your regular car. But I wouldn't keep that in your home for any reason. All right, so 2A equivalent to, okay, so like the 2A is 2.5 gallons of water. That's the equivalency. B is the number of basically your square footage. So a 10B is 10 square feet, and that's the smallest, I think. I don't think there's a 5B. A 10B is, that's how much fire it can put out, 10 square feet. C, D, and K, these letters indicate the extinguisher can be used effectively against these fires. They do not have a size rating. They don't have like C is your charge, D is your, I guess, your combustible metals, and then your K is your grease. Now, the ABC, which is mostly your common household fires, anything like electrical, of course, is included with the dry chem multi-purpose extinguisher, which you'll see in pretty much every home and business. That's your typical fire is it's either A, B, or C. Okay, you want one? Okay, so here are some of the extinguishers. You got your H2O, which is water. I can tell you with the water, we have two of these on every engine. We still carry them. Water is one of the oldest methods of using to fight fire, and it's one of the most effective. It still works very well, especially with any kind of A or Class A fire, your woods, your ordinary combustibles. Dry chem, which would be your standard red extinguisher, which is your ABC. Again, that's what you're seeing here. Halon, that would be, I believe it's the yellow one here. So, hey, sand. Huh. So that's D for D. Okay. So then that's a K. Well, this is what we have in our engines. This is water. Well, CO2 doesn't have a gauge. No, no. So they just measure them, and this is the CO2 because you have the different horn. Well, I just mentioned. So the halon basically is for anything electrical. It doesn't cause damage. It cleans up. So you'll have that like in computer rooms, equipment rooms, server rooms. They use halon. Halon's not used as much as it used to be used due to having problems with the atmosphere causing something with the ozone layer causing damage, ventilation. Right. But there's still some other agents like halon they're using. Your wet chem is your K. That would be this. Well, actually, this is your wet chem. Sorry. Yeah, it's usually stainless steel. You'll see it in the commercial kitchen typically for like deep fryers. And then you'll have your Class D powders, which is yellow in the back. So there actually isn't a CO2 on here, but CO2 doesn't have a gauge. How they know how much is left in the tank is they have to weigh it. So. All right, next slide. All right, pressurized water can. Like I mentioned earlier, it's a Class A fires only, 2.5 gallons, has a pressure gauge. We like them because we use quite a bit of them. When we go to a fire call, we'll grab tools like a Halligan, axe, and then a water can. So if we don't know where the fire is, we say it's a big apartment building, we'll take all that width, locate it. And if there is a fire, a water can reset that fire, knock it down quite a bit, and then we can get the hose lines in there and put it out. So we always grab the water can, we always grab the tools. That's really important. It helps put out a lot of fires. Yeah, so cools the material. It stops it from growing temporarily until we get our water lines. Depends how big the fire is. So, next slide. CO2 has no pressure gauge. Capacity is verified by weight. Your distance is only 3 to 8 feet max, so it doesn't go very far. Extinguishes by smothering burning materials. Effective decreases as temperature and burning materials increase. So effectiveness decreases as temperature of burning material increases. Okay, so basically it suffocates it. Next one. All right, as the one I mentioned earlier, your multi-purpose dry chem, your ABC. This is what we're going to be using outside today. It's your typical extinguisher. 2.5, 20 pounder. This is a 20 pound. Again, you have 8 to 25. I never see one go 8 seconds unless it's already been used. 25 seconds is kind of long, but you can kind of hopefully that's what you have for extinguishment. As a pressure gauge, your distance is 5 to 20 feet. When we're outside putting out the fire in the barrel, you want to start out a little ways back, maybe 10 feet or so, and work your way up with these extinguishers. You'll notice when you first use the extinguisher, as you just pull the seal, the first person to use it, you'll get a lot more extinguishment. It works really well. But after, take a turn a couple times later, it does not work as well. You kind of lose some of your pressure, you lose some of your chemical. That's why you want to put that fire as quickly as you can. Extinguishes by smothering the burning materials. All right, we talked a little bit about halogen agent or clean agent. So again, halon, Class B, C fires, disrupts the molecular chain reaction that occurs within the combustion process. Again, it's best for IT rooms, data rooms, electronics, sensitive areas. It doesn't do any damage to electronics. Again, its environmental impact is why they don't use it as much. There are some other agents they use that are similar. Probably don't work as well, but that's usually how it goes. All right, Class K. All right, so cooking is one of the leading cause of fires in homes. So if you have an extinguisher, I recommend you also getting a Class K extinguisher, putting it somewhere in your kitchen, not right next to your stove, ideally, because if you have to go buy this, the stove to get it, it's not going to help you too much. You don't want to go too close to the fire, but having one is very helpful. One of the main reasons why Class Ks work better in kitchens than a regular dry chem is when you expel the extinguisher, you can see a lot of pressure with these nozzles, with these ABC extinguishers. They will work on grease fires, and they are rated for B fires, but it's splatter. So you're gonna have grease splattering all over. It's gonna blow grease out of the pan. These K extinguishers, they come out slow. There's not a lot of pressure, and they smother the fire. So it's a lot safer to use. Uh, They are electronically conductive, so if you have a toaster on fire, you definitely don't want to use it on a toaster, right? Just primarily grease fires. So. I don't recommend you getting the K over the ABC. This is the primary one you want to keep. Okay. That's what I'm saying. I wouldn't replace the K with the ABC. I would put the K with an. All right. Well, good. Right. Yeah. You definitely. We have ABCs in kitchens as well as the K, so we make them have both because there are a lot of ordinary combustibles in the kitchen area, but your K is primarily for grease. Right. And your Class D, sodium chloride, copper, graphite. So your metals: aluminum, titanium, magnesium, lithium, zirconium, sodium, and potassium. Metal fires usually start with chips, shavings, fine dust. Class D extinguishers create a crust over the burning metals, separating the fuel from the oxygen and absorb some of the heat. Again, D fires react violently with water, dry chem, CO2, and halon. So I guess my example of this would be is if you ever see a car fire, like a video of a car fire, when you put water on the interior of the car, you see those white sparks flying everywhere. That's your steering wheel, the metal. That would be magnesium. Yes. Just white flashes fly all over. So if you ever see that, that's just a steering wheel, or some rims are made out of magnesium, or even engine blocks. But my first car fire, it's kind of scary. It's loud. It's bright. It burns really hot. So um, again, Class D fires, I'm not expecting you guys to have a D extinguisher. Something that you guys probably should never have to worry too much about, I'm hoping. Right. Next slide. Oh, I expect a little bit. So if you see there, it says 7,000 to 8,000 degrees is typically what a metal would burn at, which is really hot. A lot of fires, maybe 2,000 degrees. Copper melts at 2,000 degrees. So, all right. Lithium ion batteries. Okay, we talked a little bit about this earlier. So in 2023, 1,600 reported incidents, 611 injuries, and 155 fatalities in the U.S. attributed to lithium-ion batteries. That's way underreported. There's way more than that. So Waste Management advised that there are over 5,000 battery-related fires occur industry-wide yearly at material recovery facilities across the U.S. So basically, if you're dropping off like some lithium ion batteries, like let's say to recycle to like Interstate Battery, for example, if they take them, those are the places that will take them, collect them, and bring them to another location. Those places they're controlled. They have a lot of safeguards in place, but they have fires there, and they're expecting fires. I mean, they're damaged material. It doesn't take much to damage a battery. So when there is like, if you guys look here, you can't see the person standing here, but that was a vape pen that exploded in someone's face. So that's a vape pen, one of those little things they use to smoke. Yeah. They've been known to blow up in pockets too. It doesn't have to be damaged to go off and blow up like that. It can, if you have bad batteries, if it's damaged. Here, kind of mentions it a little bit here. Some of the different causes of those things to malfunction, they just don't have a good handle why it happens, but it does happen. It's basically called thermal runaway is what happens when the battery cell kind of starts to flare up, and then it'll actually go to the next one real quick. So this is that same little thing we had. We had some batteries we wanted to see. We added them to the fires to see what would happen. So this has a little bit of a charge in it. So we tried to do it. We damaged one of them to see what would happen. And if you hit play, it'll show you. Goes into one of the cells, and it keeps burning. if you have a lot charged in the battery, it can keep going for quite a while. And again, if you cover that with a blanket, it'll stop the flames kind of spreading all over. Maybe get rid of some of the smoke, but it's still burning under that blanket. So okay, right, 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 right. Nope, that's a good point. That's exactly what happened there. So yeah, and if you think about it, lithium-ion batteries, you're gonna have some. I think I told me. I think you have roughly 20. The average person has 20 some lithium-ion batteries in their home. I got way more than that. I don't know. I mean, if you think about it, everything you have is lithium-ion battery. Your kids' toys, computers, phones, pretty much anything in your home. You probably have closer to 50 of them. So, thankfully that fires don't happen too often, but when they do, and you hear about them because they're so much devastating because of the heat that they give off, it's a lot worse than regular, ordinary gasoline or your, Class A fires. No, I think we're good. I mean, I can also tell you about lithium-ion batteries. Like, there's still not a great answer for them. They don't have a clear-cut way of like, yeah, this is how we're gonna take care of them. I know they have bags they could put them in that can kind of contain them a little bit. I think airlines are starting to adopt those more so. There's buckets with sand. I think Public Works is going around with a bucket of sand that if they pick up any kind of like thing on the side of the road, a vape pen or anything that has a lithium-ion battery, that they'll put it in there to secure it. Some salvage yards, they're making I'm not saying all of them, but they make kind of like a separate area bunkers, yeah, with these big blocks, and they'll put the cars in there separate from all the other cars because of the EV fires could be pretty devastating, could damage all their property. It'll just keep burning. So they're taking precautions, but there is no great answer at this point yet for these batteries. And of course, we're just going to get more and more batteries as time goes on. So. All right, in case of a fire, some of the steps you want to take. So evacuate all occupants, alert the building, call 911. So if you notice, first evacuate, then call 911, right? So make sure everyone's out and then call 911. If very early and this fire is small, like incipient, like I mentioned, and you're trained and you have the correct extinguisher, you can attempt to extinguish the fire. If you notice, we don't ever put extinguishers deep inside of a building. They're always close to exits. You don't want one that you have to go through a hallway by a fire to get an extinguisher. That just puts you in danger. So you're always going to see extinguishers close to exits, even in your home. If they're not there, that's where they should be. If you don't want to take the fire on, you want to get out, you leave. Make sure everybody's out. Close the door behind you. Really important. I wanted to find a slide that shows you what houses look like with the closed door, even a hollow core unrated door in a bedroom. If that's closed and there's a fire, you see the whole house is destroyed, but that one room is pristine because of the door being closed. And I've seen fires where that happened. So, and if possible, let 911 know the location and access points for the fires. So we go there, we know, hey, there's a fire downstairs, first level. If you're at an apartment, third floor, just so we can prepare for that. We know where to go. It saves time. You get that fire out a lot quicker. Next slide. All right, so fire extinguisher, fight or flight. Kind of already mentioned this a little bit. So the right training to use an extinguisher safely, important. Know the extinguisher location, know you have the right extinguisher for the job. So if it's again, if it's a ordinary combustible, which is the majority of fires, water or an ABC. If it's a grease fire, you don't want to use a B or an A because it's not going to work very good at all. Water does put off flammable liquids. It's kind of hard. It's tricky, but you can do it. Some extinguishers work on other fires, but ideally you want to use the correct extinguisher for the right fire. Have an escape path, an exit plan. Check extinguisher before using it. That's a quick check, and we'll go over that when we go outside a little bit. So the gauge, pin, outlet, physical damage. You want to look over all that really quickly. 30 seconds or less. Well, obviously 30 seconds of discharge, and watch for rekindle. One thing I'll mention outside is that you put the fire out, you don't want to turn your back and walk away. You always want to keep your eyes on the fire in case something kind of sneaks away a little bit. Like, think of it as a wild animal. You don't want to turn your back on a wild animal, right? You always want to watch where it's going. So if you use your extinguisher even one time, have it recharged or get a new one. You don't want to keep it because what happens is some of the chemicals get into the gaskets and it wears it away. It won't be effective the next time you try to use it. So, all right. So pass. Pull the pin on the fire extinguisher handle. Well, I'm just gonna make it scary. So pass. PASS. You're gonna pull the pin. All right. You're gonna get the nozzle ready. You aim your nozzle horn. Most of them have this type of nozzle. Some don't have one. They'll just be really short. I see the little nozzles, so you can aim it that way. Squeeze the handle. Again, you can't squeeze it like holding it by here is not going to let it go off. You have to squeeze down and then sweep. When we go outside again, I'll show you the correct technique. You're going to sweep from one side to the other. You don't want to go too fast. You don't want to go too slow. It's kind of a balance. Monthly inspection and maintenance. If you're not doing this already, you should be doing this. Basically, just take your extinguisher, look it over, make sure your gauge is good, always in the green. There's no damage, it's not dented, there's no rust, no wear, and the pin's intact. Now every extinguisher has a pin in it, and if you have a pin that's like chain or metal, you definitely want to get that replaced, or wire. You want something that can break easily and you can open it up and use it. If you can't open it or can't get the pin off because of whatever's holding it in there, it's not going to help you none. You want to get that replaced. So should be plastic. I would even say zip ties you're not going to break. Those are pretty hard sometimes. So just a small little piece of plastic is what should be holding the pin in place. Look for obstructions, making sure there's no toys or candy or anything inside the nozzle. We found some M&Ms sometimes or whatever, and these things. It's you never know, right? Sorry. And then with your extinguisher, if it sits for a while, you definitely want to take it and turn it upside down and back and forth because you have a dry chemical in here. So you want to mix it up a little bit so it's not all caked to one side. If it's been sitting there for a year and you do that for the first time, you're going to feel that cake kind of get moved in there. You feel a little thump. Just make sure it's mixed up. When you pay someone to service it, it needs to happen. It's part of the process, right? But they don't do much more than that. They'll look what I just mentioned, the gauge. They'll turn upside down. They'll have a hammer and tap it a little bit so it does loosen up. It's really a simple servicing. But there's a 6-year and 12-year maintenance that they got to do, which is a little more detailed. But those annual 1 through 5 years are pretty basic. So, all right, is that everything? I think that's the last slide. Okay. Have any questions, anybody? Oh, yeah, good call. I should have mentioned that earlier. Thank you. Oh, and I would have mentioned outside, but yeah, I went through a little quick. Right, right. Yeah, yeah, you go.
Doing my job, that your fire back there, and we'll grab the fire extinguisher. How do you use it? I've never ran so fast. And I'm just looking at him like, okay, well, obviously we know what our next step is going to be about.
Right.
And I was just kind of appalled, but confused on how don't because that.
Well, in the moment, a lot of things kind of elude you. You're amped up. You're not thinking clearly, so it's best to be prepared. And that's a good point. You always want to aim at the base of the fire. You don't want to aim at the flames. You're going to shoot right through the fire. It's not going to help you none. So always at the base of the fire. And with the being prepared, I had a lady one time who had an extinguisher and had a fire, and she went to get the extinguisher, and it was still in the box, and she couldn't figure out how to get it out of the box. So take your extinguisher, make sure it's prepped, it's hung somewhere or located where you can grab it easily and use it if you ever need to. You don't forget about it. So buying extinguisher, leaving the box is not going to help you none, especially in case of an emergency. So, no. Mhm. I guess that's a case by case base. I wouldn't recommend a certain age. Me personally, if my daughter, I know that she's competent enough and she's, she could learn it pretty well. I could trust her. I would teach her. It depends on her age. Like a teenager for sure. You can definitely talk to them. But obviously little kids you don't want. We teach this class because we don't want, anybody under the age of 18. They for sure can put a fire out with an extinguisher, but there's some liability there. They could be injured. Something can happen. So as a parent, you know, the younger the better if they're going to comprehend it. Yes, and that's what we focus on. Right, right. Yeah, I that's a good question. I again, if they're you can trust them. They're at that age where they could do it safely and effectively for sure. But otherwise, like you said, focus on getting them out of the house. That's the priority. Right. Yeah. Well, as soon as it's over and the fire's still going, you get out. You don't. Right. And I mentioned earlier, if it's a big fire, and this isn't going to do much, it still will do some. I shouldn't have said that. It's gonna reset it a little bit. It's gonna slow it down. May not put it out, but it'll reset it enough when we get there. It might buy you a lot of time either to get out or for us to get the fire out quicker. So if you have an extinguisher, um, use it if you're safe enough and if you're confident, trained, and you're not going to worry about your own life safety. Use the extinguisher. Otherwise, get out of the home. That's our priority: is getting out. So, any other questions? Yep, I would use the ABC. Yeah, because it's you got your lint. It's an ordinary combustible. It's like a cotton kind of a whatever that material is. It's a mix of different things, but that would be just an ordinary combustible. Right. Yep. Sure. I mean, by not only do you have to worry about your lint trap there, but also the duct going out. That should be cleaned annually if you haven't done it. One little trick that I would do is get a leaf blower, battery powered, lithium ion battery powered one. Right. And yeah, right. You don't want any gas powered one that gets that CO in there, but yeah, and it blows the red out pretty good. Have someone catching the other side. So. But yeah, you should do that annually. And that's my wife's big fear is we can't even leave a dryer going and leave the house. We have to turn it off. So, which is good practice. So, yeah. One little tip as well. I'm sure you guys are already aware of this, but this is kind of a pet peeve. A lot of simple little fires kind of start on stovetops. And any guesses why? Well, not cleaned, or somebody put something on the stove that's not supposed to be there. Yeah, yeah, it's simple to do. I was in Montana golfing. My daughter moved into her apartment and she called me crying, freaking out. She says, "Why aren't you here when I need you?" I'm like, "Oh, what's going on?" She's like, "Well, she's moving to her new apartment. They're just bringing boxes in, and her roommate's boyfriend, put one of the boxes on the stove. It's one of those ones that has the knobs in the front. So if you push it, I think it bumped it, it turned on the stove. So, and not only does that happen accidentally by people, but pets too. If there's food up there, pizza box, whatever, just putting nothing on your stove. Always assume it's on and hot, unless it's a frying pan or whatever you're using to cook. But just don't even set groceries on it for temporary. Just that's just I just always want to stress that message. Just never put anything on your stovetop that doesn't go there. So I haven't seen those. It's so it's wood. Wow. Is it like a flame retardant or Wow. That's I'll have to look into that. I wouldn't recommend that, but that's obviously it's okay for some people. I guess I'd never seen that. So yeah. Yeah. Because you put wood on a fire, it's gonna burn. I mean, even if it's a stovetop. I believe you. I've never seen that. Mm. Is that like a yeah, bamboo stove cover? Okay. Huh? So there are some silicone that won't burn. I use them for like in ovens, which but wood for sure. I don't know. That's different. Each their own. I wouldn't recommend it though. So sure. So other than making sure that you can go at the door, make sure your kids can open your windows. If there's latches, whatever, like just show them how to open it. My wife the other day, it's kind of funny. I was cleaning the egress windows in our basement, and she couldn't get one open. Or oh, I we have a cover on the top of the window so kids can't fall down into the egress. It's like a fiberglass kind of a thing, but you just pins to it. And she's like, I would never get that open. I don't know how to do that. Like, or even getting the screen off is hard for some people. So, showing your kids how to open those would be good. Again, and if they can't open them, or if there's a window that they can't get out of, what I tell kids in pub ed is um, close the door. If you're in your room, when we get on scene, our captain's gonna do a 360. He's gonna walk around the home. He's gonna look at the windows, try to spot the fire, look for anybody else. So if you can't get out yourself as a kid, if you could throw a toy out your window or go to the window and make yourself seen, is really important. Then closing the door behind you, so that way you have that time. Our response time anywhere in Bismarck is anywhere from 4 to 5 minutes. So and I know with the 3 minutes, that doesn't give you a whole lot of time with that video. That's a really bad circumstance, obviously. That could happen. I'm not saying it can't happen, but we have pretty good response times. Hopefully, we'll be there and we'll get you out before. That'd be our priority. If there's someone trapped in a house, we're going to be going for the person versus trying to put the fire out initially. So, but yeah, opening up the windows, feeling for the door. If the door is hot or don't grab the handle with your hand. Use the back of your hand. If you feel heat, um, don't go out that door. You also do a quick peek if it's not hot to make sure it's safe. But if there is smoke, I can tell you in a fire situation, most people don't die from fire. It's the smoke. So if you have a lot of smoke in the hallway, but there's no fire, it's still very dangerous. That's why I say stay low and go if you can. If not, close your door, put something underneath the door to keep the smoke out, go to the window. Yeah. Always room for improvement. That's a good point. Yeah. Mhm. Exactly. So if you do your fire drills, or when you do your fire drills in your homes, it's always best to use your smoke detector alarms. Hit the button, hit the test button so they know. A lot of times I go to daycare inspections and I'll ask, have you tested your smoke alarms? I say, oh yeah, we did. It's okay. So I'll hit the button and the kids are like, what is that noise? And they're all scared and they're crying. I'm like, well, so I can't tell them something, but yeah. Yeah, I mean, don't want you want them to know what that noise is, so they don't go hide somewhere. A lot of little kids might go hide because they're scared, and that's the worst thing they can do. So, mhm. Okay.
They're in the building. And our alarms go off, the doors will start slamming, the doors will slam shut effectively. Maybe about
It's amazing.
stay.
One of the They don't. Even when there's a legit fire, I was evacuating people, and we're looking for CO after the fire was put out because there's a lot of CO that was in the house or in the building that we were on our air trying to ventilate it out, and I was knocking on doors, and there's still people in their rooms, and this was after the fire was put out in one of the units. If we didn't get that fire under control, they would have still been in their units. So. I, I don't know. I mean, you could teach all you can. There's still going to be those people. So you know, right. Yeah, yeah. And with your apartment, just so you're aware, if the alarms are going off, if you don't see smoke, typically it's going to be probably a pole station or something. Because the in the units, I think majority of the apartments in town, if there's a fire in the unit, like let's say actually not say fire, say you burn some toast, your smoke detector's going off, and you try to air it out. So you open the door to the hallway, to air out the room, even though the alarm's going off. As soon as that smoke goes into the hallway, it's going to trigger the whole building. So you want to go to a window or something, just so you know. But if there is a fire, it's in the hallway. It's the whole building's gonna be notified. Not gonna be notified if the door's shut and it's in the unit until it gets out to the hallway. Uh, well, at least they're working. That's good. That's a plus. Yeah. Well, good. Good. Oh, okay. Right. If there is an area of refuge for your apartment complex, like most of the stairwells are fire rated, and there's also calls, speakers, and you can call out if you're in the stairwell. Not all of them have them. And some stairwells they chalk open, which they weren't supposed to unless they have those mag holes, which you talked about. When the alarm goes off, the door slams shut. 'Cause those are the magnet holes that are just deactivating the magnet because of the alarm going off. So if you chalk the door open and you're in your stairwell, you're gonna get smoke in that stairwell, and that's supposed to be a means of egress for floors above and below you. So if you see that, yeah, you don't want that to happen. But yeah, and if they are handicapped, let's say in a wheelchair bound or not ambulatory, that's probably their best bet then. If they can't get out, they should call 911, let them know, hey, I'm on the third floor, I'm in a wheelchair. Because if the fire alarm is activated, a lot of times the elevators will go into recall mode, so to go to the lowest level and remain open, so that way they can't be used. That's a lot of apartments are set up that way. So, any other questions? All right, ready for some fires?